The training grounds of the Galactic Defense Academy fell silent as the alarm pierced through the morning air. 47 cadets from 12 different species froze mid-drill, their weapons half raised, their formations crumbling into chaos. The warning was clear. A Volrathi predator had breached the perimeter. Sergeant Ilara Dune stood at the edge of the field, her weathered hands resting calmly on her hips as she watched her cadets scatter like startled prey animals. The Thexian recruits immediately activated their plasma shields, their four eyes wide with instinctive terror. The Corvin twins, usually so confident with their exoskeletons gleaming, retreated toward the barracks. Even Cadet Zinthor, a hulking Krillian warrior who stood nearly 3 meters tall, backed away with his mandibles clicking in distress. Volrathi predators were no joke. Native to the death world of Volrath Prime, they were apex hunters with razor-sharp claws that could slice through durasteel, jaws powerful enough to crush bones, and an intelligence that made them unnervingly strategic. Adults weighed over 400 kilograms and had been known to hunt in packs, taking down entire military squads. The galaxy's xenobiologists classified them as Class A threat-level creatures. Most species shot them on sight. But Sergeant Ilara Dune was human, and humans had a reputation that preceded them across the stars. She turned her gaze toward the eastern tree line, where the Academy's biosensors had detected the breach. The other instructors were already mobilizing the security teams, preparing tranquilizer rounds and energy nets. Protocol dictated immediate containment and removal. The cadets needed to be evacuated to safe zones. Ilara had other ideas. She walked forward with measured steps, her boots crunching against the gravel. Her cadets watched in horror as their instructor moved toward the danger instead of away from it. Cadet Prin, a young Veloxian with iridescent scales, reached out a clawed hand. "Sergeant!" "The protocols, you must retreat." Ilara didn't even glance back. "Stand down, cadet, I've got this." The tree line rustled, and then it emerged. The Volrathi cub burst from the shadows, its silver-blue fur bristling, its golden eyes locked onto Ilara with single-minded focus. It was small by Volrathi standards, only the size of a large earth dog, but its claws were already deadly sharp, and its developing muscles rippled beneath its coat. The cub's lips pulled back, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. The cadets gasped. Some raised their training weapons. Zinthor's translator crackled with a warning shout. But Ilara Dune did something that defied every instinct the cadets had been taught. She dropped to one knee, her arms spreading wide, and her face broke into a radiant smile. "Come here, my little beast," she called out, her voice warm and filled with unmistakable affection. The Volrathi cub's fierce expression melted instantly. Its ears perked forward, and it released a sound somewhere between a growl and a purr. Then it charged, not with predatory intent, but with the clumsy, enthusiastic energy of a youngling who had found its favorite person in the entire galaxy. Corey slammed into Ilara with enough force to knock most beings flat. But the human sergeant braced herself and caught the cub in her arms. The predator immediately began nuzzling against her chest, its dangerous claws carefully retracted as it rubbed its massive head under her chin. Ilara laughed, the sound rich and genuine as she scratched behind the cub's tufted ears. "There's my girl," Ilara murmured, her fingers working through Corey's thick fur. "Did you miss me? Did you break out of your enclosure again, you clever thing?" The cadets stood frozen in disbelief. Their instructors were shouting into communicators. The security team had arrived but lowered their weapons, equally stunned by the scene before them. Cadet Liss, a methodical Zinthari who prided himself on logic, felt his 3-part brain struggle to process what he was witnessing. "This is impossible," he breathed. "Volrathi predators do not bond. They do not show affection. They are killing machines." Sergeant Ilara looked up, still cradling the purring cub in her arms. Corey had rolled onto her back, exposing her vulnerable belly, a display of absolute trust that no adult Volrathi would ever show. "You're right, cadet," Ilara said, standing with Corey still draped across her arms like an oversized purring infant. "Adult Volrathi don't bond easily. But this one, I found her 3 cycles ago, injured and abandoned by her pack. She was dying." Ilara's expression softened as she gazed down at the cub. "On Earth, we have a saying, save something and it's yours forever. Corey here decided I was her pack. Her family." "But Sergeant," Prin interjected, her voice trembling, "the danger protocols, the classification systems." Ilara interrupted gently. Your protocols are written by species who never learned to tame their predators. Humans? We've been doing it for thousands of years. We took wolves and made them into dogs. We befriended cats who were obligate carnivores. We even kept reptiles and spiders as companions. She shifted Corey in her arms, and the cub licked her face with a tongue the size of a dinner plate. We don't see a beast as just a threat. We see potential, partnership, family. The security chief, a grizzled Torvan veteran, approached cautiously. Sergeant Dune, this is still highly irregular. The cub should be in containment. She's in containment, Alara said firmly, meeting his gaze. With me, Corey doesn't belong in a cage. She belongs with her pack. She looked at her assembled cadets, seeing the mixture of fear, confusion, and dawning wonder in their eyes. This is your lesson for today. The galaxy will tell you that some things are too dangerous to approach, too wild to understand, too alien to trust. Humans learned long ago that the most dangerous creatures can become the most loyal allies. It just takes courage, patience, and the willingness to extend a hand instead of a weapon. Corey chirped happily, her tail swishing like a metronome of contentment. Cadet Zinthor lowered his massive arms, his mandibles spreading in what his species used as a smile. Humans, he rumbled, his voice filled with something like awe, are either the bravest species in the galaxy or the most insane. Sergeant Alara Dune grinned, scratching Corey's chin as the cub's purr grew louder. Why not both, Cadet? Why not both? The training ground slowly returned to normal, but the lesson had been learned. As the cadets resumed their drills, they couldn't help but glance at their human instructor, walking casually across the field with a Class A predator trotting happily at her heels like a devoted pet. The galaxy had its protocols, its classifications, its carefully maintained boundaries between predator and prey, between danger and safety. But humanity had always excelled at crossing lines that others dared not approach, and making friends where others saw only monsters. And perhaps that, more than any weapon or technology, was what made them truly formidable.